Hello, this is Duncan with Cambridge Retail Advisors, and this is our latest edition of Cambridge Coffee Corner. This is part 3 of a 4-part series on AI. And joining me in this session is Joe Romain, partner with Cambridge Retail Advisors, Ken Belanger, Vice President, and Mike Powell, the Supply Chain Specialist, Practice Lead for Cambridge Retail Advisors. Welcome to the three of you.
Hi, thank you.
And this session, we're going to be focusing on AI in the supply chain. So as you recall in the last session, we're focused on the front end in the store systems. We're going into the supply chain now, where I'm sure we're going to be talking about some pretty detailed stuff about AI in the supply chain. And I know Mike is chomping at the bit to get started, so let's jump straight in. So Mike, I'm going to come to you first, and we're going to talk about how AI is moving the supply chain discussion from reactive to proactive. Lead the way, Mike.
Yeah, I
Step
mean,
us in there.
this is a transformation that's going on. Certainly, we're trying to leverage AI to really be able to predict issues and take opportunities before they happen, to enable faster data-driven action. I'll give you a few examples. I mean, a big thing is visibility. And most modern transportation management solutions are leveraging this, real-time tracking of product, anticipating delays, anticipating impacts of weather, and automatically rerouting goods, reallocating goods, and so forth. That is becoming much more of an automated process. So not just reacting to problems after they happen, and managing the exceptions, and then having to pay all of the expedited costs to get you out of the problem. Trying to get ahead and be proactive. Same with inventory forecasting. How can you anticipate demand when there might be weather impacts or other trends that you need to consider? And generally, making sure that outcomes are anticipated and fixed before the problem escalates. The benefits for retailers are, fewer out of stocks, reduced expediting costs, as I mentioned before, and higher profitability. For the end customer, most importantly, better product availability, faster delivery, which is obviously always a priority, and a task getting harder all the time. Personalizing offers, and just generally for the customer, leaving them with fewer problems with their orders to worry about.
Yeah, sure. So, Joe, I'm going to use you as like the bridge between the retailer and the customer, and somewhere in between. So,
Yeah.
what do you think around around some of the payoffs that might be had in the supply chain as we take that transition?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is with the planning, right? The allocation, the assortment planning, all that. I think Mike made a good point. It's just that real-time information that you can grab from your stock inventory, the weather, trends, everything within the area. Essentially, it gives the companies a lot more data points to feed into tools and generate a better outcome for that location. So ultimately, I'm in here in South Florida. The local retailer down here can use those tools to figure out, there's gonna be a lot of rain coming this way or this or that. And they can use their tools to generate, better assortments, better things, having allocation to those stores. So making sure the right product is at the store at the right time, but also give manufacturers real-time feedback. There's a lot of retailers, trying new things out in different markets. So they can take that real-time feedback and feed it back to their manufacturers. So instead of, putting out a shirt of, 1 million that goes in the tank, doesn't do anything, maybe they can put out 1,000 make a tweak, and then they have a real winner there. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of benefits for not only the retailer, but only for the customer to have the right thing and a better thing in front of them at the right time.
yeah. Ken, can you add to that? If you then step in more in the direction of the consumer perspective, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the consumer needs better inventory availability of seasonal products. And it always goes back to, early on in the forecasting, if you don't have a good demand signal and you don't have seasonal profiles set up and products go from maybe seasonal to more of a basic, a lot of the inventory is either over supplied or undersupplied.
Yep.
And that's what AI is really driving is it takes those static algorithms that were part of the 1990s and the 2000 ERP systems, and they make it dynamic. So a person doesn't have to go in and remodel all of their inventory every 6 months or a year because it goes from a replenishment item to an allocation item.
Yep.
So AI is really adapting to the local trends as well as the seasonal aspect of the inventory to make it relevant to today's retail in that particular store, not the one down the street.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. What's your take? I'll put this to all three of you at the same time. What's your take on the balance between the human judgment and the reliance upon AI? Where do you think the retailers are with the handing over and the human intervention on that?
Shall I take that first?
Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Where we are at the moment, I think AI
Go ahead.
It's reached the point where it can handle data-heavy, repeatable tasks in the supply chain and provide insights, and then leave human judgment to make the final decision, if you like, and add context to that. I don't think we've reached the point yet where you can automate AI to the extent where you would allow it to make irreversible decisions. For example, talking to a client the other day about transportation routing solutions. For this batch of orders, which distribution center should we send that to? How should we spread those orders over the network? It's critical, clearly, that needs to be done correctly. And I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of saying, well, that's a completely hands-off decision. We may get there, but I think that's where the balance is. Let AI handle the heavy lifting and do the repeatable tasks, but still leave the fine-tuning, if you like, to the human.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, and a lot of that was never done effectively because it took too many people. It took systems that just weren't continuously modeling the data to make accurate predictions.
Yep.
So AI is a great example of how that can do it in significantly less time without.
Absolutely.
I think it goes back to the classic example of making use of the humans, better use of the humans to do the edge cases where decisions are needed, and the heavy lifting, as you put it, being used for the bulk of the work.
Yeah, I think AI, every retailer that I've talked to has a list of AI priorities, and then they just know that historically they have to do them sequentially.
Yeah.
They can't just do 15 or 20 that would not necessarily add value. They've been focused on what's the right timing, what's the payback, and will this help solve the pain that I'm experiencing?
Yeah.
If it does, it checks all the boxes and they're ready to go.
Yeah. So, Joe, I'm going to put you on the spot now with the next question, and it's around how do retailers move forward? How do they lay the groundwork to be able to hand over more of that to be AI managed? Tough question, but what do you think?
I know. I mean, it's a tough question, a loaded question. Honestly, I think it's putting the roots down, making sure it's there. I think we've all been in situations, both on the vendor side, but also on the client side, where they're in love with the tool, but they're just not set up from a architectural side, right, roadmap side to handle it.
Yeah.
We can put a great AI tool in place, but if you don't have the data points, if you don't have everybody bought in, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing is having a strategy in place. And I know I brought up on other things is not only a strategy, but a journey in place, not only for your customers, but for your operations and your employees. Understand how do you want AI to go in their day in a life? What are
Hmm.
the outcomes you want to get to, right? And you prioritize them,
Yeah.
low hanging fruit to high hanging fruit, and then how do we get there and
Yeah.
then put it in place. I think that's the key thing. So definitely keep it internal if you can, but find the right partners to talk to, right resources, go to the shows, talk to people, even talk to your customers, get that feedback.
Yeah.
It all should be taken into account when you're putting your strategy together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about operationalizing whatever AI uh, scenario you're trying to solve a problem for. How do
Yeah.
you get it,
Yeah.
broadcast out to your team, and how do you make sure it solves the problem that was intended to solve?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one last thing, I know we're up against it here shortly, is to everybody's point from the last one is you still have to have that human touch. Even in, breaking down the data, if you get the summary, I still want to go through the data because there are things that AI won't pick up, right? Because it's programming. There might be a tidbit in there that might be a jewel that you missed because of that. So
Yeah.
definitely take advantage of the tools, but take the time to go through the old process because you're going to find new outcomes, new bits of information that will drive success.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, any final thoughts on the movement of experimenting to making it critical path for
Yeah,
the use
I
of AI? Yeah.
think, and we actually said this in the first uh, in the series in this series when we reviewed AI overall in retail, and that is it's really no good taking a tactical approach to all of this. A very large number of AI projects fail because it's not embedded in a core strategy. Um, as far as the supply chain is concerned, one way to do that is to try to link your AI initiatives to whatever your KPIs are in the supply chain, and also to identify what are the really high value uh, projects, the high return projects in the supply chain that you might want to look at. Um, and I think if you do this all thoughtfully, you can really build a supply chain that's resilient, efficient, and hopefully agile to support your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, that was great thinking there, gentlemen. And we're going to call it a wrap there for this edition of Cambridge Coffee Corner. Thank you for sharing your coffee with us today,
Bye.
and we'll see you next time.